What is up, everybody? Very late show tonight. For those of you who are watching live, I appreciate you either staying up late on the East Coast. I wouldn't even be able to believe if you guys are still up right now, or just even staying up late on the West Coast. And if you're international, welcome, because I know many of you don't get to watch Ginger Runner live because of the hours and stuff like that. But I do believe we have some people international watching this evening. I just got off a flight from New York, a delayed flight, long travel day today. Traveled back from New York because the New York Marathon was this last weekend, and we're going to talk all about this race tonight. I'm going to do a brief race recap with you guys, enjoy a beer with you guys. So sit back, relax, don't fall asleep. Here we go. Ginger Runner Live, episode number 90, straight off a plane, right in front of a camera. Let's have some fun. Ginger Runner. Yes. So excited to be home. I am so excited to be home. For those of you who are watching live, this is going to be my New York Marathon race recap. Again, it's going to be a bit of a brief one. I'll tell you why in just a second. For those of you who might be listening in the podcast version or maybe watching the archive, it is currently, well, my watch is still on East Coast time. It is 1 a.m. on the East Coast of the United States, which makes it 10 p.m. on the West Coast, which is 4 hours after I normally record this show. But because I'm now 90 episodes deep into Ginger Runner Live, I didn't want to not do it on a Monday. Many people have already commented or tweeted me like, dude, take the night off. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. But a part of me is like, the second I let one go, I'll let more go. So I don't want to. Even if it's a show where I spend 40 minutes in a weird travel-induced stupor, not really remembering what happened during the race, I'd rather do that than not do anything at all. And really, this isn't much more than me sitting and talking to a camera and reading the chat room. So there's no excuse unless I really desperately needed the sleep, which I do, but I'm going to save that for a little bit later because I need to enjoy at least one beer. So let's get started, shall we? We already had the chat room kind of shout out where everyone's from. I'm grabbing my keys because it's the only bottle opener that I have. And again, we'll be drinking the only beer that's left in the fridge because I tend to drink most of them during these shows. Hophead Red, Double Red India IPL. So who do we got in the chat room tonight? We have some people that are staying up late all across the globe. We're waking up early and enjoying the show. I think we have some first timers too. First timers to Ginger Runner Live in the chat room, which is great. If you guys have questions, I'm going to do my best to keep my eye on the chat room. So if you guys have questions kind of like while I'm talking, I'll try to keep my eyes over here in the chat room as well. We got Raul. What's going on, Raul? Welcome back. Jonathan, Rohan, Nicholas, Oswald, Jenny Thing 18, watching from the UAE live, thanks to the time change. Excellent. Love that. United Arab Emirates. Far, far away. You might be our furthest guest possibly tonight. Jacob Wolf, what's going on? Mart Mans. It's usually 3 at night that you get to watch it. Okay, so this is a 7 a.m. show for you. Excellent. Well, really, really excited to have all you guys here. This show, like most recaps, I tend to recap the race as best as possible with all the things I remember. This one's going to be a little bit different because it's probably going to be me remembering a lot of the negatives because I didn't have the best race ever. I'll talk about it on tonight's show. It was one of the few races that I have ever run where I seriously contemplated just not finishing it. In most cases, even in ultras where things are getting really bad and you just feel like garbage, I have gotten to that mental point before where you just want to quit. But then there's that voice in the back of your head going, nah, you're not quitting. Get to the next aid station. Do what you need there to get nutrition in and then keep moving. Like, that's usually how my mind operates. This is the first time really where I was racing and I didn't want to do anything but figure out logistically how I would get back to the hotel. There wasn't that voice saying you just need more food or you just need more water or whatever is happening is going to pass, like I remember even telling myself, dude, you run ultras that are longer than this, double the length, quadruple the length of this race, and you know that things get better. Even when they're at their fucking worst, they get better. That voice wasn't clicking in. It was really, really strange. And I have some ideas as to why that might have happened. And I figure that stuff will kind of come up tonight. And I know many people have reached out as well on Instagram and Twitter saying that they've had very similar experiences recently with races that they've run, where it's just been like you have these expectations and then the expectations don't pan out. I think we all do. I think we all have these races, all have these experiences that just don't meet our expectations. And I forget what the term that people keep using of like it's a learning experience or uh I forget the term. I've only really heard it in ultra running where like they'll run a race and it's a really bad race and they'll go like chalk it up to learning or what is the phrase? Someone remind me. My brain is just completely fried. And meanwhile, I'm looking at the chat room. Raul says, Ethan, learn anything new things about yourself, or do you have more questions? I'm actually going to copy these questions over so I don't forget them. So Raul, that's a good one. I'm not going to answer that yet because I think I'll answer it during the show. And then there was another one. Ethan, did you do any marathon specific training or are you still recovering from CC 100? Again, I will also answer that, copying it over so I do not forget. Okay, cool. So let's kind of begin. I'll start well before the marathon and kind of like how did I get back to New York and how was that whole experience? How did that unfold and stuff like that? Because I don't think I've talked about it in a live show because there was never a live show specific to the New York Marathon yet in the last couple of months. So ASICS reached out. ASICS reached out and was like, hey, listen, we love what you do. We value your videos and your race recaps, and we think it'd be really cool if you could come back to New York for the marathon. This was a few months ago, well before Cascade Crest. And when they reached out and they said this, in my mind, I'm going, I haven't thought past Cascade Crest. So like I didn't pick any races after Cascade, knowing that Cascade was my goal and I didn't want anything else to influence what happened at Cascade. So like I didn't want to have a 50 miler a month and a half after Cascade because I didn't want to run Cascade knowing, dude, you have a 50 miler in a month and a half. Maybe you shouldn't continue. Like you hurt so bad. Like I just wanted Cascade to be the end goal, right? So that was kind of my mental decision not to pick a race. However, when ASICS reached out and was like, listen, we would like you to run the New York Marathon, having run New York last year, had an incredible time. Like the race experience was like nothing I've ever had in a road marathon before. Unparalleled. I had a rough day last year because of the cold and because of the headwinds. 25, 35, 40 mile per hour headwinds, I think, last year. And temperatures right near freezing. I mean, it was awful. I had an okay run, but I felt like I just felt obliterated. And then that next day, I was sick for a week. Like I had congestion, cold, flu, fever, everything for a week. It was just like this overall experience of like, oh man, I got to go back to New York and get my revenge and feel good with a good performance there. So again, when they offered it, I was like, absolutely. You just don't turn down the opportunity to run the New York Marathon. I don't like. I didn't. In my mind, I'm going Cascade Crest, 100%. I will be all in, and having a marathon. I don't know how many weeks. My math bad, but however how many weeks New York Marathon fell after Cascade, it didn't influence me at all. I was just like, oh, fine. Yeah, it's a marathon. I've done many of them. And the last road marathon I ran was New York a year ago. And I remember that was after Squamish 50-50, right? So having run Squamish 50-50 and then a month and a half later running New York Marathon, I was like, well, I can still get a marathon done. Even if it's not a great day, at least I can get the mileage done. So that should be fine. If I have to take some time off after Cascade, it won't influence my ability to finish the marathon. I need to take a sip of my beer because I realize I haven't done that yet. Very tasty. Raul has another good question. Okay. And CTAM just says, everybody has this one cursed race that they just can't conquer. I agree. I believe everyone has that target race that they either want to get revenge on or they want to use it to get a personal record or anything like that. I didn't think it was going to be New York. I think it's New York now. And the problem is that New York is just so difficult to get into. It is the largest marathon in the world. This year had 56,000 runners. I don't even know the possibility or feasibility of running it again. I think they do special bibs for like celebrities, I guess, or something. Maybe not. I don't know. I do not fall into that category. I'm just gonna say that I think is the only way some people can get into a marathon year after year. That's my guess. Unless even they have to go through the lottery. I don't know. Or unless you know somebody on the board. I don't know. So maybe this is my cursed race, or the race that I will always use as like, oh, I gotta go back and get my revenge. The possibility and feasibility of that is crazy unlikely. So they reached out. They asked if I wanted to run it. I said yes. So I confirmed. And the last few months I told them, I was like, Cascade Crest is my A goal. Like, that is my race. So I can't, like, I'm not going to put out there, oh, I'm running the New York Marathon, when I still have 2 weeks left until I run Cascade. So after Cascade, I took the break, and then I started to talk about, oh, I'm running in New York. And ASICS also brought along a couple other bloggers, a couple other content creators, and people that write and are incredible, like really inspirational new media mavens. Was really, really honored to get to hang with these guys and girls, actually guy and girls, because there's only one other guy, Lindsay Sharpie Endurance, or Sharp Endurance. We call him Sharpie. And I want to make sure I shout them all out. We had Jennifer from Jen Chooses Joy. These are people maybe you can follow, because they're really, really amazing. They all have really, really amazing stories. She was there. She's fantastic. I believe she didn't PR, but she had some medical issues in the race, but still managed to crank out an incredibly fast time, which is really, really awesome and inspiring. As I mentioned, Lindsay, Sharp Endurance, a local Southern California guy, really awesome spirit. Has run multiple races all the time. Really, really fun dude to follow. So definitely worth it. Katie, Mom's LRB. What is it? Mom's Little Running Buddy. That's what it is. Mom's LRB. She's a delight. She's awesome. Definitely want to check her out as well. Tony, running, loving, living. Tony was awesome. Tony ran it last year. Ran the New York Marathon last year. She unfortunately was injured this year, so she couldn't run it. But she was out there supporting us with signs and fan support and stuff like that. So that was really cool. And Gelsies, which is runner_unleashed. She's insane, like just a beast. Scoliosis. On Sunday, she started the race with a very sore, injured back. Running is very difficult for her. I learned tidbits of her story. She's just like super inspiring. So running is very difficult for her. She had some back issues going into the race itself. Whenever she has back issues, it actually makes it really difficult for her to breathe. So she has a really difficult time breathing while running. On Sunday during the race, because of scoliosis, she ended up having some rib issues, which caused rib bruising. So she was bruising during the race because of how things were moving, unable to breathe, and still managed to finish the race. I'm assuming is going to post a race report and a recap and all sorts of blog and stuff like that. Totally worth following just for that story, because super inspiring. I was totally inspired by her all weekend. So those are the other bloggers that I was traveling there with. It was great to meet them in person. Great to kind of see what they're about, to see their race unfold for them, and to hear the story. So all of us together went to New York, and essentially were the 5 to the finish, which is the team that ASICS put together, which I thought was really cool. And I was honored to be a part of it. Honored to go back to one of the biggest races on the planet. So let's get on with the race recap. Why do I keep putting my beer down? I just want to hold it and drink from it. Delicious. I will be doing a full recap and talking more about extraneous details and stuff like that with Eric Schranz of Ultra Runner Podcast tomorrow. I'll be doing that interview with him for his podcast at noon, probably when I have a bit more sleep and a bit more coherence. So anything I don't cover tonight, I'll definitely cover tomorrow. And we're going to be talking about the differences between trail and road. Something that, like Max King, Sage Kennedy, these are guys that are able to jump from trail to road and just perform incredibly well. I, on the other hand, had a rough go and have had rough goes at both. So I think it's going to be really fun. Eric is awesome. His podcast is awesome. I can't wait to be on it. I'm honored to be on it. So tomorrow we'll record that, and it's going to be all about this race and some of the comparisons between the two. But I'm just going to give you guys the brief recap of the race. Okay, so that was all the lead up. Get to New York on Thursday. Just traveling to New York is a 5 or 6 hour flight. I've done it many, many times in the past. In this scenario, I had to wake up super early to catch a flight. So we had to wake up at like 3:30 or 4 in the morning to get to the plane. And many people are like, don't make Kim drive you to the airport. Take an Uber or something like that. When you're strapped for cash and you can't even afford to get your wife a flight to New York, you can't afford an Uber from where we live to LAX. It's like a $50 or $60 Uber ride because of the traffic times and because of all that and because of LA. So unfortunately, I had to wake up my wife and get her to drive me. So it's a super early morning. Flying to New York, you lose time, right? Because if my flight leaves at 6 a.m. here and arrives at 12 noon Pacific time, it actually arrives at 3 p.m. New York time. So I didn't get into New York until 3:30. The car that was supposed to pick me up didn't show up for 45 minutes to an hour. So I actually didn't get out of JFK until 4:30. It takes an hour and a half to get into the city because of traffic. So by 6 p.m. is when I arrive at 6 p.m. East Coast time. Everyone is meeting up for dinner because everyone's already there. I'm the last to arrive. So we all meet up for dinner, which I didn't realize also had Ryan Hall, Sarah Hall, Josh Cox, essentially the ASICS elite team, plus all of these ASICS execs and stuff like that. I thought it was just going to be food. It turned into a very nice sit down foods dinner with like incredible athletes. And in my mind, I'm going, I just want to talk to you guys and interview. And we ended up talking for hours with these guys and girls. And by the time I got back to the hotel room, it was probably close to like midnight or 1 or something like that on Thursday, still having not slept. And at that point, I couldn't sleep. I had a really difficult time sleeping. And we had to wake up at 5 in the morning the next morning for a group run with Dina Castor and Andrew Castor, and Ryan Hall and Josh Cox and all these guys. And I'm like, I can't miss that. So here's what I'm describing is a lack of sleep and never fully acclimating to East Coast time. After this group run on Friday morning, I got back to the hotel and just got hit like a brick wall with exhaustion and nausea and all sorts of just like my body was overwhelmed and just done. So we were supposed to go to the expo and pick up our bibs and stuff like that as a group. I had to cancel. Like I was like, guys, you have to go without me. I'm not leaving the hotel room. I need whatever sleep my body's willing to get at this point. It was a real restless sleep. I got like 3 or 4 hours. But later that night, I was able to go out to the Runner's World Shoe Awards. 5 awards given out to shoes for, being the best trail shoe or the best road shoe or the best new shoe or best technology. I don't remember the awards because they were weird. Regardless, I was there for that, and I started feeling a little bit better. And I was like, okay, good. Whatever happened earlier today, my body is now good to go. And I get to sleep tonight, which is going to be good. Friday night, I get to sleep that night. And I did. I feel like I got a pretty good, I think it was like 6 hours or so on Friday night. And then Saturday, I had to wake up early to go to the expo to actually pick up my bib. And then we had another event where we were walking the High Line in New York. It was very, very fun, really cool. I got to go outside and see the incredible views. And New York is just amazing. It was like the first chance I actually got to see New York during the daylight, which was great. So it's good to walk around and actually get my bib and do all that kind of stuff. By the time I got back to the hotel, I was starving, so I had to grab dinner. And I knew I needed rest based off the previous days, just having a lot of stress and a lot of things going on. And I didn't get any sleep. For some reason, my body wouldn't let me get sleep. By around 10 p.m. East Coast time, I was like falling asleep on my laptop. I was like, this is good. Let it overtake you. So I put the laptop away, put everything away, and get under the covers, and then just could not sleep. I wasn't nervous about the race or anything. I was just brain wired. I don't know what was going on. So I'm going to kind of check in with the chat room here because I think things are going on. I'm missing them. Lisa. Oh, we've trained. It's just our first 50K. Oh, you guys are talking about a race. Looking for advice, it looks like. I had my first 50K in less than 2 weeks. Excited to say the least. Nice, nice. Love that stuff. Okay, cool. So I'll continue. You guys keep chatting amongst yourselves. I didn't get any sleep on Saturday night, which means I wasn't tired when I actually ended up getting ready for the race, because I think my body was still so wired and it knew what it had ahead of it that it just was like, we're not tired. You have a marathon, nut up. Let's just do it. So in my mind, I was actually still positive about it. In my mind, I'm like, you've been sleep deprived before. During Cascade Crest 100 Mile, you went all night, and the night running actually didn't affect you at all. Like I didn't feel tired at all during Cascade Crest as far as like sleep is concerned. I didn't feel sleepy. I was exhausted physically, but I wasn't like, oh, I need to just take a rest and sleep. Give me 10 minutes so I can sleep. I didn't have that. So in my mind, I'm thinking positive. I'm like, just start the race. It's 3 or 4 hours of running. You'll be fine. Yeah. Then when you're done, you can come back and sleep. What I forgot is that the New York Marathon, you get up at 4 in the morning, you travel via bus to Staten Island. So our bus left at 5:15. Actually, it didn't leave until 6 a.m. So we leave at 6 a.m. We get to the start line at 6:45 a.m. And my wave, being the first wave, starts at 9:45 a.m. So those 3 hours are actually taken up with going through security, finding a place to sit comfortably, using the porta potties, waiting in line for the porta potties, getting into the corral before your corral closes, and waiting for the corrals to move forward. So it was what I remember last year is having a lot of time to just kind of sit and relax and sleep or take a nap. This time I didn't feel like I had any time to do that. So it wasn't until 9:45 or 9:50, I forget what the exact start time was, that we start the race. I felt still fine. I was coherent. I didn't like physically, I felt great. I had no injuries going into the race. The question earlier that I believe CTAM asked was, Ethan, did you do any marathon specific training? Or are you still recovering from CC 100? I did. I incorporated as much road stuff as I felt like I really wanted to for this race in the last month. I took weeks after Cascade Crest before I really started running. I did some hiking and really slow running for like 2 or 3 weeks after. But it wasn't until I would say the beginning of October that I was really like, let's do a speed workout today and let's go do a hill workout today. And the longest run I got in between Cascade and New York was an 18.5 mile trail run, which felt awesome. I took it easy, but never once felt like a bonk or any sort of issues. It was just a slow, easy effort out in the mountains and felt super strong. So I was actually really optimistic. I was like, oh, great. If I can crunch 18.5 miles on mountain trails and still feel pretty strong, and then the next day go and do, I think it was like 12 or 15 miles, still really strong, I'll be fine for the marathon. I can push this speed. I should be good. So in my mind, before I started New York, I had done marathon specific training. I had done some speed training. So I thought maybe, despite having ultra endurance legs or 100-mile legs, I might be able to crunch some speed out of my legs. So in my mind, I mentally went into New York hoping to get a PR. I think I've said it publicly before, but then I also was very public about the fact that I'm not going to try to get a personal record on New York because the course is hilly and it's not a PR course. It's just not. The bridges are brutal. However, inside my mind, I went into New York going, you are capable of running a sub 3:30, which is 12 minutes under my PR time. I know I'm physically capable of running that. I know I'm physically capable of running faster than that, but at this point, I'm not ready to tackle anything like 3:20 or 3:15. That's just not even on my mental radar. So in my mind, I'm going, with all the mileage that you have under your legs for this last year, including some speed stuff and some hard days in the mountains and stuff, you can push and manage to get a 3:30. And that's what I think you should do in New York. So that's what I was going into New York with. Standing at the start line, knowing that the previous couple days had been pretty brutal sleep schedule wise, I still didn't doubt my ability to potentially get a PR. I did doubt my 3:30 aspect. I was like, I don't think you'll do 3:30 just because you'll be tired. You will potentially PR. Just push it, see what you can do. New York, you have to kind of cut into pieces, right? Um, the course is just hard. The first half marathon is really difficult. By the time you get to the second half, you're now you're crossing the Queensboro Bridge after the like you just start crossing over the Queensboro Bridge essentially around the half marathon part. And the Queensboro Bridge is just like, it's brutal. It's like a 2-mile span. The first mile is up, the second mile is down. Then you hit First Avenue and there's tons of cheering and huge crowd. So all of a sudden you get this extra boost of energy right when you should at the beginning of the second half of the marathon around mile 15 or 16 or so. And you end up pushing. And First Avenue is like a 1 or 2% grade uphill for 2 or 3 miles before you start going down into the Bronx, before you turn around and come back on Fifth Avenue with a slight 1 or 2% grade up. So it's like a real subtle, painful course. So if you don't save the strength for the second half, you get effed, totally effed. So I knew this, and I knew if I paced myself correctly for this race, I could do something really good. At minimum, I wanted to beat my last time, my record or my course PR from last year. That wasn't even a question. I was like, I'm definitely beating that. No question. Little did I know. Okay. The first mile of the race is uphill. It's on the Verrazano Bridge. And it was, I figured, a warm-up mile. I still was pushing it because the corral I was in had a lot of fasties. So I was surrounded with people who were just going really fast. So I'm kind of pushing it. I'm thinking you can push it a little bit, but I'm not, like, by pushing it, I'm not actually pushing like a 6-minute mile pace or anything like that. Something well outside of my comfort zone. I don't know my splits. I believe it was like an 8.5-minute mile or something uphill. But I didn't think anything of it. I was like, just get your body warm. The first couple of miles, you can just throw them away. Get your body warm. The first mile is up, the second mile is down. Use that to recover from whatever you just did to warm up your body in the first mile. Keep following the people. By the time I got to the top of the bridge, it had dawned on me that my legs just weren't really turning over as quickly as I'd hoped. Everything felt like I was moving really fast, but my pace was not. So we go down the second mile before we hit, I think it's Bay Ridge. I forget the first like neighborhood that we hit. It's Brooklyn, but I forget what the actual neighborhood is called. When we get there off the downhill, I could tell that my body wasn't moving as fast as I thought it was, and my legs just were not really not working with me. They felt fine. They just were like sluggish. Over the next 2 miles, I was using Tailwind, which I use all the time, and I've been hydrating really, really well the weeks leading up to it. For some reason, I just started getting like nauseous and a little spacey. Don't really know why. Tailwind was on point. I didn't take a gel at that point, but then in addition to that, the legs just started like they didn't fully cramp up, but I definitely felt some residual pain building in the quads. It wasn't on a scale of 1 to 10, it was like a 1. It was like a 1 or 2, but it was enough for me to go, that's not how your legs should be feeling at mile 2 or 3. So as things started to unfold, I have these mental points in this race, hitting 26th Street, I think in Brooklyn. I think it's 26th. My sister lived on that street for years with her husband. So I'm in my mind, I'm like, get to mile 6, look at the landmarks, soak in that moment, live in the history that you have with this street. Like in my mind, I'm just saying, just get to mile 6, which is so weird. And by the time I got there, mile 6, that's when I knew my race was it was pretty much done at that point. It was super early in the race. My legs had started to cramp. They were not really turning over. I still was not able to get rid of the nausea. I carried 2 ginger chews with me for the race. I put the first one in at mile 3, if that's any indication. Usually in a marathon, I would never use ginger because I don't normally need it. If I have any sort of nausea or any sort of like, oh, you're bonking at mile 16 through 22, I can usually take a sugar, like a gel, or something like an instant sugar boost, and it will just push me through it and get me to the finish. In this case, I was popping ginger at like mile 3, which that's like a mental kicker right there. And so this is when the bad thoughts started coming. The bad thoughts started coming as far as this is not your day. Things are going to go downhill. You're going to do the first half marathon in a really slow time, and that's going to mentally F you for the second half marathon. You're not going to want to finish. All these things, all that doubt, all that stuff comes into your brain and starts seeping in and seeping into your muscles, and everything just starts like disagreeing with you. Also, at the exact same time, my headphones just I use the earbuds, and they've been fantastic for years. The same set of earbuds on my Apple iPhone headphones. For some reason, the earbud caps, like the headphones popped out of my ears, but the cap stayed in my ears. So I'm like juggling, refilling a Tailwind bottle, and also my headphones popping out. All these things were happening that I was getting so mad. I was so mad at everything for happening. It was just like everything that could go wrong was going wrong. And I just felt like garbage. I just felt bad. The only saving grace was the fact that New York comes out for the marathon. 4, 5, 6 people deep on both sides of the street. There's 56,000 runners running through the street, and people are wearing shirts that are like running for my mom, running for my cousins or my grandparents. There's all these inspiring things everywhere you look. You can't help but get caught up in that. No matter how bad you're feeling, you can't help but go, you're a big ass baby right now. Like whatever pain you're feeling is temporary. However bad you're feeling for yourself, there's people who are hours behind you that may not have even started yet at that start line, worrying about even being able to finish. Nut up, dude. Just keep moving forward. And so those kind of thoughts started to seep in, and it helped, but they would always be overshadowed by the dark thoughts. And it just sucked, because I feel really confident in my ability to have like really good mental strength. The ultras that I've been able to run and be able to push myself through, it's a blessing to look back on those and know that those days actually went a lot better than they could have been. But my mental game just was not on. And I am thinking it had a large part to do with my lack of sleep, travel, and really focusing on making Sunday an important day. Not that I didn't train specifically for it or dedicate more time to this race. I think I took it for granted. I think I took the marathon distance for granted, and I think I took the fact that it's New York, so there's just so much energy to keep me going. I took that for granted too. Because when I started feeling like crap at mile 3, 4, and 5, and I knew that the rest of the race was going to be just worse and worse and worse, in my mind, I'm like, you should have trained harder, so you could have at least gotten to mile 15, and then been able to rely on the fan support and like the incredible inspirational stories and stuff out of that race. Get yourself to mile 15, and then let everything else be that mental, like, oh, we can get it to the finish line. Many of you know, but here's the other thing. I'm going to go back to the chat room here in a second, but Cascade Crest, I was able to get to mile 80, and still, like with Gary Robbins, my pacer at the time, I was still able to like convince myself you only have 20 miles left. And that is this weird thing to even contemplate, that you run 80 miles or travel forward. I won't say run 80 miles, and then you're able to tell yourself you only have 20 miles left. It's weird, because when I was at mile 3, it was impossible to think that I had 23 miles left. I was like, no way. I don't want to do that. There's no way. That is stupid. But it's weird. Like, I could walk 20 miles plus in Cascade Crest just to get it done. Whereas in New York, all I wanted to do was just be done. It's weird, the mindset that you have for two different races like that. Totally weird. And I'll probably talk a lot more about that on Ultra Runner podcast tomorrow. Moving past the bridges, getting across the Queensboro, getting onto First Avenue, I was coming down the Queensboro Bridge onto First Avenue. It's a wonderful downhill section. You can really open up if you have legs, really good downhill legs there. It was at that moment that the legs went from cramped to terribly cramped. The legs powered up the bridge fairly well. I didn't have to walk. Basically at this point, I was able to run everything, but running is going to be putting it lightly. It's definitely like a really slow jog in most cases. But being able to run down the Queensboro Bridge onto First Avenue, I was like, great. But by the time I got to the bottom, my legs were they were super sore. There was no amount of pounding on them or rubbing them or anything to get the pain to go away. The quads were gone. I've had it happen before in other races, like ultra marathons at mile 90. It for some reason, I think my quads went at Cascade. I forget what it was at Cascade that was really hurting. Gary can probably attest. I think it was some sort of hammy or psoas. It was a psoas issue. That's what it was. But in this case, the quads were just cramped. So running up First Avenue, basically heading north in Manhattan, up First Avenue, the legs got worse and worse. The stomach got worse and worse. I was on the verge of just of throwing up and all sorts of nausea and dizziness issues and stuff like that. I had to stop. In my mind, I'm going, this is the same way you felt at the beginning of the 50 miler at 50-50. So I'm using these experiences from my past to help to figure out what's going wrong. So I'm like, during the Squamish 50-50, you may have had overhydration at the beginning because you kept drinking water the day before and all this other stuff. And in my mind, it contributed to me having a really bad first 20 miles at Squamish 50-50. So in my mind, that's what's going on. So I kind of stopped bringing in water. I made my tailwind very thick tailwind. So it was basically double portion. So I could just take more calories rather than liquid. And I also moved on to my gels, my goos. I was taking those instead of the liquid. I think it all worked fractionally because by the time I got to the northern tip of First Avenue, I was still moving. Hey, babe. I was still moving. I was still making really, really slow progress, but weakness had just taken over. So my legs were just thrashed. My quads. It was almost only my quads. That was really the only thing. Calves are fine. It was both quads. And I was feeling just still off. It would come in waves, right? Off and on, off and on. It was the first time in a race. Babe, was that the first time in a race that I called you?
I think so. I'm trying to remember if you called me from LA that one year. I think you may have called me or texted me. You had a bad time.
Yeah, I think I did call you. And you didn't live here at the time. That was another bad marathon experience, but that was a mile 20. I remember getting to which is actually funny. It's about the exact same time I called you here.
You called me at mile 20.
Yeah, I should have called you a lot earlier. I never have to do this. The only time I've done it in the past is the LA Marathon years ago, 4, 5, 6 years ago, when I hit mile 20 and I hit one of the worst walls I've ever hit. Not the worst, but one of them. And I called Kim, who lived in Vancouver, and I needed to just hear her voice and talk to her for a few minutes and managed to push through and finish that marathon. In this case, I was so defeated mentally and physically and had no idea what was going wrong. I just needed to see something familiar because I wasn't with the other bloggers, so I didn't have any friends. At this point, I have seen a couple, if not, I would say maybe 10 or 15 Ginger Runner fans who came up, would say hi, and then blast by me. Basically, every Ginger Runner viewer who was running the marathon passed me. I saw a bunch of Ginger Runner people on the sidelines. It was right at this point that a viewer named Rob, who took photos earlier on First Avenue, managed to make it up to the bridge. So I'm getting off the phone with Kim, having a little bit of dude, just finish. You're about at mile 20. And I see him, and I don't know him. We've only emailed and stuff like that. But the fact that I saw a Ginger Runner viewer, someone that recognized me, we were able to have this moment. He's like, how you doing? He's taking pictures. And I'm like, bad, terrible. And he's like, dude, just keep going. You're doing great. I got some good photos and all this kind of stuff. In my mind, I just want to can we just talk for a minute? Can we just sit here, just have a conversation? I need to know somebody, and I need to feel like something is familiar because how I'm feeling is unfamiliar. And I kind of said that. And he's like, yeah, all right, well, yeah, cool. And he just kind of kept going because I was still moving. I don't know. For some reason, I needed that. I managed to get through Queens. I felt another little wave of strength through Queens, so I kind of pushed through that. I came back into Manhattan. You go through Harlem, and there's like music and dancing, and people just energized out there. And at that point, I was like, "You're not gonna stop. You are way too close to the finish to stop." So basically, turn that frown upside down, Daisy Duke, and get your ass to the finish line. I went in and out of just terrible waves of nausea, just like total disappointment, anger, frustration, all sorts of emotions that one typically goes through when running a marathon. But for some reason, for me, I'm like, but it's worse for me right now because I've done more than this. You know, you have that mindset of like, you've run 4 times this distance and you are wussing out right now. But you know, the mind works in mysterious ways. So by the time we get towards Central Park, there's carnage everywhere, by the way. This is the first time in a road marathon I've seen this many people fall to the ground, pass out, be wheeled away in stretchers, be put into an ambulance and driven. Like this was happening a lot around me. And that's not really good for the mental game. But at the same point, it also allowed me to go, at least you're not that guy. And there was one guy that had like 4 people helping him up, and he just basically, you know, he didn't have any strength. And it's hard to see that because all you want to do is help that person. And when a guy that's like one of the bands that's off to the sidelines who's playing music gets on his microphone and goes, "We need a medic. Does anyone have a medic? We need a medic." You know, that kind of stuff. It's a bit traumatizing. But at the same point, it's also like really inspiring because you know that person is probably going to get up off their ass after getting some fluids or getting medical attention, and they're probably going to finish because New York also has one of the best finishing rates too. Get into Central Park. It's beautiful. I started just looking at the trees and thinking about photos that I would want to take for Kim to show her fall because LA has not been very pleasant. It's been really hot because the trees were perfect. It was beautiful. And once that started happening, the pain didn't go away, but my like negative thoughts just kind of got quieted a bit. I still felt nauseous and I was physically just fucking destroyed. But I stopped having that voice that just kept telling me no, 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 no. So the last few miles hurt. They were terrible, but I managed to finish. It was far slower than I wanted it to be. It was 36 minutes slower than my goal. And that was like mentally devastating to me because I thought even if I had a really bad day, I would still beat last year's time. I would still have a decent run in my book. But I was really mad at myself. And I know that I have a lot of viewers who would kill for a 4:06. Trust me, I know. It's not my slowest marathon. I've run my first marathon, I think was like a 4:20 or 4:25 or something like that. And I remember thinking there's no way I can get faster. So I know that there are many viewers out there who would be like, dude, I run a 5, I run a 6-hour marathon and I would love a 4:06. Kim says, me. It is possible. I guarantee you it is possible. In this case, I'm just really disappointed with my time because I had expectations and I of all people should know sometimes you have to alter those expectations. Shameless plug. It was really hard because I had traveled so far and worked really hard to make it work. And it was just a big disappointment. Okay, let's check back in with the chat room before I continue on here. Okay, there has been so much conversation here in the chat room, guys. I'd love a Cascade Crest video. You are going to get one. I have taken my time with it because I wanted to give Wonderland some distance. I think I might actually post the New York Marathon video first. I think I can probably edit that together a little bit faster than Cascade Crest because I want Cascade Crest to have its own space and its own breathing room, right? So I think I'm going to do that. I believe, based off of the footage I received back from Dom and from Jamil, we are working on a Javelina 100 video, which I'm very excited about. The premise I'm not going to give away, but it's going to be really fun And I want to make sure that I get that out soon too, because Javelina just happened and it sounded like an incredible weekend because it was this weekend and I was supposed to go to that, but I couldn't because I was going to New York and I wanted to make sure that I was able to do something for both. So there's going to be a really cool video coming out from that, probably in December. But Cascade Crest is coming. I think the New York Marathon is going to drop first. So I'm going to kind of continue to scroll back here. Blew up just past halfway on the marathon. I was really only half marathon trained. Decided on the full iron 6 weeks out, but managed to hold it together enough to go sub 12 hours. Nice. Well done, Dustin. Yeah, people were talking about Cascade Crest. I saw a conversation or someone mentioned Casey Neistat. Honestly, I think he is one of the most difficult people to get a hold of. If you're not already one of his friends, now that he's essentially blown up on social media and blown up on YouTube, if you were not already one of his friends, you may never get to be his friend because he's just a hard dude to get a hold of. I've tried every social network, email, everything, every angle as a runner, and it's just I don't know how else to do it other than to run same places that he runs, which I don't think is ever going to happen because he's an East Coaster and a global traveler. I was hoping that I would get to see him at some point in the marathon because I thought that we were in the same wave. His number was in the 2,000. I think it was 2,000 something. Mine was 15,000. Technically, that's, if you think about it, that's actually the same wave 1, but the corrals were different. I was on the same, I think I was in the same wave as the elite men who were just in front of us. No. I was in the same wave as the sub-elite men. The elite men were next to us. His wave was right behind them. We were just behind the sub-elite men and women. So I did not see him. It sounds like he took it easy. He hadn't been trained for it. I'm a big fan of his, so that's kind of why I really wanted to see him. He's a really good runner. He's extremely fast. I think last year at New York, he did a 3:02. I think it was his marathon time or something like that. This year, he didn't expect to do good at all. So he kind of set a lower time goal for himself, but he still killed it. I don't remember what his time was, but it beat me by a handful of minutes. But I think he started 2 minutes before me and finished 10 minutes before me, if that. So we were really close. And that's what sucks. Because I was like, oh, I almost met Casey. However, I did beat Ethan Hawke. So I'll give myself some cheers to that. So I beat the other Ethan. I'm sure there's many Ethans out there, but I did beat him. Casey is a beast. He has finished an Ironman. Yeah, I saw that video. He posted a blog the other day where he kind of documents his journey as an athlete. He's mentioned in previous blogs that the furthest he's ever run is 31 miles. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, he's done an ultra. He's done a 50K. But he didn't talk about that in that blog, so I was interested in that. But I would love to take him out on a trail run or get him signed up for an ultra or something. He is an absolute beast. He's a really, really, really good endurance athlete. And he seems to really take to it. He really loves it. Oh, what is this? He really began running after shattering his leg and being told he wouldn't be able. I don't know who this is. What's up, babe?
I'm not rushing it just for dinner.
Like 10 minutes. Yeah. Kim is making me food because I haven't eaten today. So I have to remember that because I could talk forever and I don't want to do that. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm missing the conversation here where you're talking about someone who's coming back from an incredible injury for a race. That's amazing. Ethan, did you see Dean Karnazes? I saw him at the Runner's World Shoe Awards, and I got to touch base with him for probably a good 20 minutes or so, which is great. We're planning some stuff, hopefully. I'm going to email him. I told him I'd email him after the race because his schedule during that week was crazy. He showed me his schedule Monday through Monday, essentially, and it was just appearances, group runs, appearances, sponsorships, meetings, all this stuff. So the fact that I saw him at an event was like, oh, hey, dude, hey, let's chat. We'll see each other at North Face. I was debating registering for the 50 miler. Kim is doing the 50K. At this point, based off of New York, I'm thinking it might not be a good idea to run a 50 miler a month from now. I'm thinking about the 50K. I'm also thinking about just going and supporting Kim and crewing and maybe filming and running with friends. That's where I'm at with that. I haven't fully decided purely because something wasn't right yesterday at New York Marathon. Whether it was because I didn't give enough time between Cascade Crest and this race, or despite the fact that all my training felt really good, I don't know. I don't know. So it might be good not to take a chance. That's the first time I've actually contemplated that. But I did see Dean, yes. So lots of good stuff ahead with him. He's in LA all the time. Lisa, I'm assuming you're talking about Casey. He's in LA from time to time, and when he is here, it's for a day or two, and he's always meeting with other big YouTubers with like 2-3 million subscribers. So I think the only way I will get to meet him is if I get to 1, 2, or 3 million subscribers. Yeah, he is in LA a lot, but every time I reach out when he's in LA, I don't have his personal contact info, and it sounds like he doesn't respond to a lot of contact, like email or Twitter or any of that kind of stuff. I think what we'll have to do is plan a day where we have to come up with a hashtag. Don't do it yet, but I think we have to come up with a hashtag, get Casey on GRL or something like that, where we all just bombard him at a given time on a given day to be a guest on the show. That alone will hopefully get him some screen time, and we can chat about when can we go for a run, when can we film something really cool. That's my best guess. He did 3:49. Yeah, he's a fast dude. Casey did 3:35. No, Casey did not do 3:35. Nev, his buddy, Catfish guy, did 3:35. I'm amazed how the body performs differently from day to day. The good days, good times of the day, make it worth it. Yep. Ethan, Casey, a lot of smiley faces. More Ginger Runner on iTunes, please. Good job, man. Yeah, it's just there are other things that have been taking priority, including traveling, as well as Gingermas, and some other surprises, including the wraps, which are going to drop this week. So get ready for that. I'm doing the 50K too. Woohoo! Nice. We'll see you at North Face. Have you thought about running local marathons like OC Marathon or Rebel Canyon? Yeah, I've run local marathons before. I'll talk about this tomorrow on Ultra Runner podcast. I'm not as drawn to the marathon as I once was. I am now drawn to trails and like epic, beautiful locations. Obviously, I still respect the marathon. I definitely do now. It just doesn't draw me in as much, especially road marathons that are fairly flat that go through industrial cities type areas. And I believe that's what the OC does. I know that it runs along the ocean a lot, but I believe it also cuts into town a little bit. And I think it's repetitive, right? Don't you just run along the Strand like back and forth or something? That's what I remember, at least. Maybe that's not true. Hope to run North Face next year. Nice. It's a great ultra marathon. It was my first 50K and loved it. I've just been excited to show Kim the race as well. Any questions about the New York Marathon or anything like that before I maybe move into a real quick post show and say goodnight to you guys? Awesome. First time GR live. Then the boss comes in early. No, that's the worst. That's why you always got to have an extra tab open, something with like work related or a spreadsheet, or just, put the spreadsheet over the video and then just listen to the live feed. Neve was supposed to be under 3. Yes, I saw that as well. I wonder if he had a rough day. I don't know if he vlogs. I haven't been following him as closely, but he's also a really fast dude. He's faster than Casey, and Casey's really fast. So it'd be interesting to find out what happened with them. Okay, cool. Will there still be a movie about Cascade Crest? I just answered that. So you must have just arrived. Yes, there will be. I think the New York Marathon video will drop first because I want to give Cascade Crest its own space in time. And I wanted to make sure I had enough space off of Wonderland because I wanted Wonderland to come out first. Cascade Crest will come out next. And I have some really great ideas for it. Come say hi at Ray Miller. I am thinking about coming to Ray Miller. Yeah, because it's an epic 50 mile, 50K, 100K, I think. Beautiful, beautiful course. I ran the 50K a couple years ago before it burned, and man, is it gorgeous. One of the best final 10Ks you will ever run in ultra. The last 10K of that race is kind of cliffside. It's a real steep mountain, and you just zigzag down it. To your right is the mountain, and to your left, or right, depending on which angle you're going at, is just ocean. And it's incredible. Really is a beautiful race. Okay, cool. So that is essentially my recap. I'm probably going to go into more detail again with Ultra Runner podcast tomorrow when I talk to Eric which I'm really excited about and honored to be on the show. Let me finish and sum it all up with this. Again, I am so honored to have had the chance to go back to the marathon in New York. I have to thank ASICS. It's really awesome of them to recognize just like bloggers in general. And I think it's really cool that they brought us all out there. Shout out to the fellow bloggers, the 5 to the Finish. All of them are just really, really incredible, inspiring athletes. And it was really great to meet them all in person, see what they're all about, meet some of their family members, and just meet other runners from around the country. I thought that was really neat. And don't for one second think that I am not proud of my finish at New York. Someone was like, just shut up, be proud. I'm very proud. I am extremely proud to have gotten to finish 2 New York marathons. Some people haven't even been able to get into one. I am proud of the fact that I somehow managed to get through a day that just was unfolding in the most unpredictable way for me. It's happened in ultras, but in a different way. This one had its own dark cloud that hung over me, and will probably hang over me for future races, at least until I kind of shake the cobwebs out and just get another good solid race under my belt, whenever that might be. It was a really personally disappointing day. I will get over it. I always do. I'm not asking for sympathy by any means. I am proud of my finish. I was able to go back to the hotel and have that post-race glow where you can think, I can have a beer, I can have some pizza, and I don't have to feel guilty about it. That post-race enjoyment. I had that. So that's I'm totally proud of the fact that I finished the marathon. We all want to be fast, right? We all want to be faster. And I desperately wish that I was faster than I was yesterday. I remember all day yesterday, people were like, what was your time? What was your time? And my answer pretty much to all of them was, I don't know. Because I really didn't care. I was just so mad. But that is all on me. New York puts on the best marathon that I have run. The fan support alone is incredible and worth it. I was so first year, I think you're just overwhelmed with everything. This year, I was able to take in the fact that they shovel through 56,000 people and they make it look so easy. Any other marathon that has a fraction of that amount of people, when I see that they don't have their shit together, it is so much more obvious because New York has it dialed. The Expo, they're able to put people in and out in minutes. I had my bib and I was able to leave in minutes. The fact that they got everyone to the start line to Staten Island, I don't know how they do it. I just don't know the logistics behind it. It is an absolute masterful accomplishment. So I give them major shout outs for producing one of the most flawless experiences in and out that you will ever have in a marathon. You will be taken care of by the volunteers. You'll be looked after by the medic team. You will be given a medal by someone who will genuinely have a conversation with you. Not that that doesn't happen in other marathons, because it does. But at the same point, like, every volunteer there is just so wrapped up in the spirit and emotion of the marathon. It is a sight to behold. So thank you, New York Marathon, for doing what you do, which is putting on an incredible event. Thank you to ASICS for bringing me out. And thank you to the fellow 5 to the Finish bloggers for just being awesome. And thank you to you for being patient and letting me start this show late, and for being just incredible people. Everyone who I met along the course, congratulations on finishing faster than me. You guys are beasts. And for those who were on the sidelines, that was really awesome to have people yell your name or yell Ginger or that kind of thing. And you'd look to the side and you'd see someone going, yeah, I love your videos, or something like that. That basically gives me hope in what I'm doing being the right choice and is actually working. So I'm going to do a real quick post show just to kind of say thank you and goodbye, and kind of go through the chat room real quick. I don't want to do that during the regular show because that gets boring on the podcast, and that's what I don't want to happen. So thank you again, everybody. That is it for episode number 90, my New York Marathon race recap. I'm going to go have dinner with my wife and, recover for a couple of days. And get ready. Gingermas is coming. Some big surprises on board. And the new wraps will be available this week. That is right. It will be available for immediate shipping this week. You will not want to miss them. There's a limited supply. So it's not a pre-order. They have been ordered, and I am in possession of them. What is in my house is what there is. These are them. Right here. These are the new wraps. They do exist, and they are awesome. I wore one during the marathon, and it worked at keeping me cool. Weird. That's also was slightly creepy. All right, guys, we're going to move into the post show. Thank you so much. You know where to find me across social networks and all that. Doodad, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. YouTube.com/TheGingerRunner. I need to reach 1 million so I can do a collaboration with Casey Neistat. All right. See you guys mañana. What? That doesn't even make sense. I'll see you guys in the post show. I'm not going to see any of you tomorrow. I'll see my wife tomorrow. All right. Stand by. Sorry about that. My brain fried, and I just pulled up the starting scene graphic. Okay, I want to go through the chat room here, guys. I'm gonna go backwards in time. You might have to correct me in whatever conversation I'm going to jump into here. Congrats, Becky. Becky, what did you do? Did you run a marathon? I ran Melbourne Marathon. First marathon for real. Really tough. Wait. Nice. Great job, Becky. Congratulations. I would love to do a race in Australia. Nice. Are you the one with the Mario hat? That's not for me. Those medals were nice too. Yes, the medals were very nice. New York Marathon medals are solid. New Yorkers are awesome, and the marathon is proof of that. You have people of all walks of life, all income levels and all that kind of stuff. No matter what borough you're in or what neighborhood you're in, they come out and they support, and it is really cool. Sander, look for Ray Miller. Yes, of course, Sander. Raul, Instagram for the selfies. I'm missing some incredible conversations. I love the conversations you guys have in the chat room during live shows, and I have the hardest time keeping up because it moves so fast. You guys are able to do it because you can listen to me and watch the chat room. I have to engage with the guests or just talk to the camera. I am planning on doing New York City Marathon next year. I've just completed my first marathon 2 weeks ago, and the GR has been a huge inspiration throughout my training. I can't wait to take my running international. Claire, you're gonna love it. It will make all other marathons pale in comparison. It really is an amazing experience. Give yourself ample time to acclimate to the time change. So I think you might be international. Yes. So I take the days leading up to adapt to New York time. It will absolutely save your race. I know people also will go the other way and travel as close to the marathon date as possible, so their body doesn't have time to fall into that full-on jet lag exhausted mode. Last year, I think that might have been what helped me because I landed late Friday night, and we just had Saturday to kind of get ready before I'm already trying to get sleep on Saturday night for the marathon morning. So that might have been my saving grace, as opposed to arriving Thursday in the afternoon and then just working basically 2.5 days straight. I don't think elite runner Bezunesh Deba finished New York City this year. Shame, she's badass. Yeah, the first male and females just schooled the runners this year. I only was able to hear about it obviously after the race and read a little bit about it. There should be an "Oh crap, boss" button on the taskbar in the lower right hand corner. Yes, totally. I masked the screen. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, Lisa, you're talking about North Face being your first 50K. It's awesome. It's going to be completely unpredictable weather. I've run it 3 years in a row. The first year was the 50K with one of the worst storms on record. The second year was the 50 miler, cold but perfect weather. The third year, last year, was the 50 miler, and they had terrible weather the days leading up to it, and they had to reroute the course due to storm damage. So it's always unpredictable. It's like it'll go storm, sun, cold, storm, sun, cold. It's going to be interesting. All right, let's scroll down to the bottom of the chat, and then I will call it a night. Going from east to west coast is easier. I agree, because right now my watch says it's 2 in the morning. It's 11. I like that. Hi from England. Keep doing a great job and inspiring people. Thank you, Marion. Thank you for joining us all the way from England. I need to get back there. I need to get back to England, get back to London. I love it. Absolutely love it. I want to take Kim because she's never been to Europe. She would flip. There's so much to see and do. Great show. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. November 7th is coming up. Good luck on the lottery, Ethan. Yeah. Have my calendar set. Have everything dialed in. Western States Lottery, for those of you who might not know. I got my Western States ticket, and ticket to join the lottery, not ticket to the race. So I'll put my name into the hat with the thousands of other runners that are going to attempt to get into Western States. I believe I just read this today too, that Cascade Crest, which is a UTMB qualifier, at least I think what I just ran was a UTMB qualifier, but they have decided not to renew their UTMB qualifier status because I guess there's a lot of political hoopla that you have to go through, and you have to pay to be considered a UTMB qualifying race. And I guess there's lots of hoops and lots of technicalities and like weird glitches and stuff in the system that make it just really, really difficult. So Cascade Crest has decided, the board has decided to opt out of being a UTMB qualifier. And I guess other races are jumping on board that same bandwagon, which it makes me sad because there are so many people who want to be able to run UTMB, but it also makes me sad that UTMB would do that they would make it so difficult for races like Cascade Crest, which is such a homegrown, old school race, why they would make it so difficult and charge them money to do something like that. It's a bummer. However, I believe Cascade Crest will still be a Western States qualifier. Rightfully so, because it is tough. I want one, but I seem to be late. I'm going to order one of these t-shirts and pay what? Pay ridiculous shipping. What are you talking about? Nut up. I don't get paid till Friday, but need a wrap. The wrap, I ordered enough where I think the wraps will be available for a couple days. Maybe a week. I don't know. I know that they went in seconds last time. I don't anticipate that being the issue this time. I have to figure out my store because I want to limit the number that people can order to 4. That's what I did last time. Because I know lots of people buy them for family and for gifts and stuff like that. I'm afraid that if I can't limit it, then people are going to buy like 500 and they're going to try to resell them on eBay for cheap or for more. You know, I would hate for that kind of thing to happen. Thanks for the inspiration, Brent. No problem. I often am like, there's nothing about me that's inspiring, and I find my inspiration from other runners, like the other bloggers that I was running with this weekend are like really freaking inspiring. I appreciate it. You know, if there's anything that I'm doing to inspire you, that's pretty awesome. There's lots of stories out there, a lot more than mine, and mine's, you know, nothing out of the normal. There's some far more inspiring stories out there, that's for sure. Sorry, Ethan, I want to wrap, but I'm in Europe and shipping. Oh, I want to wrap and I'm in Europe and shipping is usually $30. Yeah, I've never charged that much for that. I've never charged $30 for shipping. International, especially. There will be international availability, and I don't know what the cost of shipping is going to be because I have to weigh the goods and do an exact layover for the hats, which came in large boxes, which would be the most expensive thing I ship. I believe international shipping was $12.31 per person, anywhere from $12 to $15, depending on what country they lived in. So I think it was a $15 flat. No, it might have been $10 flat. I forget, because it ends up costing. There's the shipping label, which costs $12.50 plus the box, plus like the label itself, the ink, like all that stuff comes in to fact. So I think it was $15 for international shipping. Oh, yep, that incline near the shrine. Can I have a shout out? Miranda Sings 098890. Shout out. Miranda Sings is great. She's awesome. I've met her a couple times in real life, and she is completely different. It was like a 37K, and I was hurting so bad, but that was cool. I'll keep an eye on it. $12 is good. Yeah, that was for the hat. That wasn't for the wrap. Again, I haven't weighed the wrap, so they should be cheaper than that. I'm not going to say that because I haven't weighed them all, but I don't think you should be paying that much for international shipping. It really comes down to what I don't want to charge any more for shipping than what is actually costing me for shipping. How much will they be? $20. I'm not going to up the price, despite the fact that I think they look better. And I hand designed this myself, and I'm not going to charge you guys more for them. $20, which I think is a good deal. Okay. Yeah, Kimosabi, I totally agree. I don't recognize the names in the chat room. Totally different crowd because of the different hour. That's exactly what I was thinking too. Those of you, maybe this is the first time you're watching Ginger Runner Live, welcome. I'm sorry that it has taken 90 episodes to do one this late, where maybe it's earlier, it's within your realm of watching live. Hopefully it happens again so you can do that. There's definitely travel related tonight, but it's great to have you. Thank you for joining us. What? Miranda sings, "You're not great in live." Is that what Ethan just said? No, I've met her in real life. The actual Miranda sings. Oh, she's a YouTuber. Sorry if you didn't know that. Kimosabi. Miranda, go find Miranda sings. She's hilarious on the YouTube. Okay, cool. My voice is disappearing. My beer is also disappearing and needs a refill. And my wife is cooking what smells like to be an incredible dinner. So I'm going to go a very late dinner. But I'm going to go partake in that. Thank you guys for tuning in live. A late show or an early show for some of you international. We'll see you guys next week. Get out there, train hard, race harder, party the hardest. I know I am. And yes, the new raps will be available this week. Look for them. Good night.